They called it a wall, but it was never merely stone. It was the spine of a civilization, a monument of fear and pride stretching like a scar across the face of the earth. From the deserts of the west to the mountains of the east, the Great Wall of China rises and falls with the land, twisting through time itself. But behind the tourist postcards and the legends lies a story far darker and more human than most dare to imagine. A story of blood and empire, of men who built dreams out of their own suffering, and of rulers who sought to protect their eternity by imprisoning it in brick. To understand the wall is to understand China itself, for this colossal barrier was not simply a defense against enemies. It was a mirror reflecting the soul of a people who feared chaos above all else. Our story begins long before the name China even existed, in the age of warring kingdoms when the land was fractured into 7 rival states, each fighting for supremacy beneath the endless sky. Among them, one would rise, the kingdom of Qin. Its ruler, a man of unrelenting ambition, was Ying, the future first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang. Before his reign, smaller walls already existed, built by various lords to defend their fragile borders against nomadic raids from the north. The Xiongnu, fierce horsemen who struck like lightning from the steppes. But these walls were scattered, fragile lines drawn in dust. Ying, after conquering all other states by 221 BCE, envisioned something greater. One unbroken wall to bind the land as he had bound the people. He declared himself the Son of Heaven, unifier of all under heaven, and ordered his newly forged empire to build a barrier that would last 10,000 generations. The command was absolute. Hundreds of thousands were summoned, soldiers, peasants, convicts, even scholars, to march to the northern frontiers. They carried no weapons, only tools, and they built not for glory but survival. Under the burning sun and freezing winds, they dragged earth and stone across mountains, deserts, and rivers, dying faster than they could lay bricks. The wall rose from their bones. Legends say the mortar was mixed with human blood. Though myth, it speaks of a truth deeper than fact. This wall was built on sacrifice. The emperor's paranoia grew with its length. He feared the northern tribes, but more than that, he feared death itself. As the wall stretched toward the horizon, so too did his quest for immortality. He sent ships to distant seas in search of elixirs, executed scholars who questioned his rule, and buried those who dared to speak of omens. The same tyranny that built the wall would one day destroy him. Yet Qin Shi Huang's dream endured even as his dynasty crumbled soon after his death. The Great Wall, though fractured and abandoned, remained, a silent witness to centuries of blood and dust. Dynasties rose and fell, the Han, the Sui, the Tang, and each returned to the wall, rebuilding, extending, redefining it. During the Han Dynasty, when silk and spices flowed along the trade routes that became the Silk Road, the wall became not only a shield, but a symbol of civilization itself, marking where the known world ended and the wilderness began. Soldiers patrolled its length, lighting beacon fires that could send warnings across hundreds of miles within hours. Merchants passed through guarded gates, carrying not just goods, but ideas, faiths, and languages. The wall was both prison and bridge, keeping invaders out while drawing the world in. But the true scale of its creation was unimaginable. It wasn't one continuous structure as modern eyes see. It was a network, a living organism of fortresses, towers, trenches, and ramparts spanning more than 13,000 miles in total. Built and rebuilt across 2 millennia, the wall's stones were the diary of a nation forever at war with its past. Yet for all its might, it could never truly stop invasion. The Xiongnu, the Mongols, the Manchus, time and again the horsemen of the north found ways around it, breaking through gates, bribing guards, or simply crossing where the wall had fallen into ruin. The irony was bitter. The greatest wall in human history could never guarantee safety. Still, its purpose went beyond mere defense. The wall was propaganda made solid, a message written in earth and stone declaring to the heavens that China was eternal, unyielding, unified. Every brick carried the weight of ideology, the belief that the Middle Kingdom stood as the center of the world. Surrounded by chaos, it must hold back. And perhaps it worked, not as a barrier of war, but as a boundary of identity. For those who lived within, to be Chinese was to belong to the empire of the wall. Centuries later, under the Ming dynasty, the wall we recognize today was born, not of rammed earth, but of brick and stone, reinforced with towers, battlements, and watchposts that gleamed under the sun. It was the Ming who perfected the wall, but also the Ming who were consumed by it, while emperors sat in their forbidden city, fearful of threats both within and without. Soldiers froze on the northern frontier, their lives forgotten, their graves swallowed by wind. Each new emperor rebuilt what the last had lost, turning the wall into both masterpiece and tombstone. The Ming Wall, stretching like a dragon's back across mountains and valleys, became one of the most extraordinary engineering feats the world had ever seen. But behind its majesty lay despair. The soldiers stationed there were often peasants conscripted from distant villages, sent to guard a frontier they would never return from. Winters were merciless, supplies scarce. Many died unnamed, their bones buried beneath the very stones they defended. Their only companions were the howling wind and the flicker of distant signal fires. When the watchtowers lit up, their flames danced like the pulse of the empire, carrying warnings from one end of the world to the other. The wall was alive, a heartbeat of vigilance, fear, and pride. But even in its grandeur, the seeds of its failure were already sown. No wall can last forever, not against the tides of time or the ambitions of men. As the Ming dynasty weakened from within, corruption spreading through its court, famine and rebellion gnawing at its foundation, the wall became less a line of strength and more a symbol of desperation. The Mongols had once ruled China as the Yuan dynasty, proving that the wall could not stop destiny. And now the Manchus waited beyond it, patient and watchful. In the mid-17th century, when the Ming fell, it was not shattered by an army that stormed the wall, but betrayed from within. The gates at Shanhai Pass were opened by a Ming general seeking revenge, and through them flowed the Manchu banners that would found the Qing dynasty. The wall had stood for thousands of years, yet in a single moment of human treachery, its purpose dissolved. Still, even in defeat, its stones refused silence. The wall became a relic and a reminder, a monument to ambition and endurance. Travelers who came upon its crumbling towers saw not ruin, but the echoes of an ancient dream. For centuries, it vanished into myth. Nature reclaimed its edges, sand swallowed its ramparts. But in the modern age, the wall was reborn, rediscovered by explorers and archaeologists who followed its ghostly trail across deserts and peaks. They found carvings, bones, and forgotten watchtowers, each whispering stories of lives long extinguished. The truth was humbling. The Great Wall was never a single structure, never completed, never perfect. It was an idea, an eternal construction project spanning dynasties, defined not by its success but by its persistence. Even as dynasties fell and emperors died, new rulers continued to build, patch, and expand it, driven by the same primal fear that had haunted Qin Shi Huang, the fear of chaos, of the unknown, of losing control. And perhaps that fear was the true mortar holding the wall together. The wall's story is not about triumph but transformation. It was built to keep enemies out, yet it drew them in. It was meant to separate China from the world, yet it became a bridge that carried the Silk Road's ideas, goods, and faiths across continents. Buddhist monks, Persian traders, and European emissaries all passed beneath its shadows, proving that no wall could ever truly isolate humanity. Over time, the Great Wall evolved from a symbol of defense to one of identity. It came to embody the spirit of China itself, unyielding, vast, enduring through hardship. Its stones tell a story not only of emperors and wars, but of countless anonymous souls who labored under whip and sky, whose sweat mixed with dust to forge something greater than themselves. Some historians estimate that over 1 million people died building the wall, a number so staggering it blurs the line between myth and history. But their sacrifice gave shape to a legend. Standing atop the wall today, where it snakes across the mountains near Beijing, one can feel the weight of millennia pressing down. Each gust of wind carries echoes of hammer strikes, shouts, and prayers whispered to indifferent gods. The wall is no longer a weapon. It is a witness, a survivor of earthquakes, invasions, revolutions, and time itself. When dynasties crumbled and foreign powers occupied China, the wall remained, its silence speaking louder than the empires that rose and fell beneath it. Even in the 20th century, when the world raced toward modernity, the wall stood aloof, a reminder that progress cannot erase memory. It became both a national symbol and a global wonder, admired not for its military success but for what it represents, the will of a civilization to endure against all odds. And yet behind its grandeur lingers the same haunting question. Was it worth the price? The sweat, the bones, the endless fear that built it? In its creation, the wall consumed generations, but in return it gave them immortality. No longer a barrier, it became a bridge between the past and the present, a dialogue carved in stone between humanity and time. To walk its length is to walk through history itself, to see not just China's story, but the story of all who have ever built walls, both physical and invisible, to protect what they fear to lose. For the wall teaches us a truth as ancient as the mountains it climbs. No structure, no empire, no ruler is eternal. The same stones that once defied the northern winds now crumble under the weight of centuries. Reclaimed by the earth they tried to resist. And still, even in ruin, the Great Wall endures, its broken towers standing like sentinels of memory, its endless path vanishing into the horizon, reminding the world that greatness is not measured by what lasts, but by what is dared. It is said that from space the wall is visible, a myth perhaps, but a fitting one. For it was never meant to be seen from above, it was meant to be felt from below by those who built it, suffered for it, and believed in it. The Great Wall of China is not just a monument of stone. It is the embodiment of humanity's eternal struggle to conquer fear with creation, to make meaning from suffering, to reach beyond mortality through the act of building. Long after the emperors' names are forgotten, their palaces turned to dust, and their empires erased by time, the wall remains, whispering across the ages. Kingdoms rise, dynasties fall, but dreams carved in stone, endure forever.